Hi there, my name is Aaron Short and welcome to my YouTube channel, and today I'm checking out the iLoud Precision monitors. I heard about these a few months ago and I was really interested in them. So in my room I have some foams behind the monitors, but I've seen reviews of these new IK multimedia speakers, and everyone that does the test tones through them see they have a lot of buildup of bass in their monitors. I feel like I'm the same. Whenever I plug in a Kemper or something to my studio monitors, I always think it sounds muddy, and I do a lot of EQing on acoustic guitar pickups and modelers to make them sound good to me. So I've got a feeling, and we'll see if I'm proven correctly at the end of this video, that this room has not very good sound in the room because of reflections and things like that. So these new monitors are supposed to measure your room and make the corrections based on where you sit. So you sit where you're going to be sitting, you put the speakers there, you use the included microphone that I've got here, and you actually take measurements, and then you unplug the microphone. It remembers that EQ curve and makes your monitors sound flat because they're compensating with DSP for the room. Really interesting idea. You can do it right now with plugins on Logic and your DAW, but that's only in that situation. The thing about these is that everything I play through them will be corrected, whether it's a song or a video or a movie, and you can turn it off. You can use the included software that I'll show you later to turn that on and off. The first thing is, though, I just bought these new monitors. I'm going to plug them in and compare them to the ones I have now. I have these Focals. They're really nice. I've been very happy with them for about 10 years. The new ones are supposed to be a bit louder. I have had some noises in the past through these ones, but it seems to have gone away, maybe interference. But overall, I've been really happy with them. And I'm not an audiophile, but I do like the idea of the new speakers correcting the room for me with everything that I do, and having the ability to load other kind of EQ profiles as well. For example, you can recreate the sound of a cell phone or a TV, so you can test your mixers through those speakers. I love that idea. But the first thing I think is, let me play my own song through these existing monitors and then quickly switch them over to the new ones. And I'll see if just straight out of the box, I'm happy with these new speakers. Then the next step and the final step is to do the room correction and then alternate between the corrected sound and the regular sound of the speakers. Let's see if these really are as good as they say and if they're really worth the money that they cost. Because I was told when I was looking for these, hey, you know, these are expensive compared to other monitors. Yes, they're made in Italy, but they're a lot of money for what they are. Well, I think it's worth it if the room correction works and if they sound good. And the only way to really know that is to listen. You won't know it because you're not in the room with me, but I'll tell you honestly what I think, and you'll see if I'm going to keep them or send them back. So let's find out together. First things first, I'll play one of my own songs. Let me just listen to it to get a sense of what these sound like right now. Then I'll switch them and I'll tell you what it sounds like, how they compare just on the regular flat settings. Here we go.
And it's so easy. I love you, and I love you, and I love you, and I love you. And it's so hard. But all I'm really sure of is I'm not happy, I'm not sad, particularly down or glad. I'm somewhere in between.
Okay, good news, at least for me. I came down because my speaker's not ear level. They need to be ear level. And the first thing I noticed was, well, first of all, there's a ton of dust on my desk. But more seriously, these are much lighter and thinner than the old ones. But I quite like that because I now have more space. Like my desk was really running out of space, and now I can actually have a bit more room to move them around. The only thing is, you have to have the USB cable connected in order to control them from the Xmonitor software, and that is knocking into my light. But I could just move the light or get a right-angled USB or something. I've got to be careful I don't break that connector, but they're smaller, they're lighter, and I think they sound better. The Focals, is it Focal? Focal? I always loved those. I don't know much about speakers, but they've always sounded a little bit, well, no, sorry, not always. Just now, they sounded quite cold and harsh. Not harsh, but kind of cold. And I thought maybe that's the mix, because my mix was done in the UK. Some people tell me UK mixers have a certain signature sound. It was mastered at Abbey Road. The reason I say that is a lot of music we hear these days is not mastered at all, or mastered at someone's home, and they might have issues with their acoustic treatment. it's cool now to listen to those recordings and the things that have been actually mixed on headphones or in properly treated rooms and know that that is how it's intended to hear it. Like if you listen to the Beatles or a major act like U2, they've been mastered in a room that is neutral, most likely. And now you're going to hear that from your headphones, obviously, because there's no room sound in the headphones, and through your speakers. The other thing I love about the X-Monitor software, which I didn't show you there, but you've got different profiles of settings already. So there's actually a setting called Comfort, and that makes an EQ curve that makes it sound a bit more easy to listen to, but even warmer so. So it's really nice here. You've got, out of the box, a really nice sound that I think is, I mean, I don't know if it's more accurate. Of course, it might be less accurate than the other ones, but the sound is very good. They're really impressive, especially for the size, and they do seem slightly louder at the same volume, which is cool. But then the software allows you to choose many different preset curves already to make them sound more like other speakers, other studio monitors. My other speakers didn't do that. They just had a high, a low, and a few settings. With these, you can tweak them to be how you want them to be for everything you play through them. That's really great. And you can run them flat at the press of a button. And you can also run them in this calibrated mode. That's what I'm most interested in. What do these sound like when they're calibrated for the room? So what I just heard is them obviously calibrated as flat studio monitors from the factory. But now the sound is being affected by the room as it was for the Focals. Now I'm going to use this mic at my ear level to actually set up the curve, and you'll see on the screen what it does visually when I show that part. But right now I'm going to calibrate each speaker. You have to plug the mic in, and it doesn't come with the XLR cable, but I have plenty of XLR cables. I'm going to calibrate the left speaker, then the right speaker, and then listen again, and then turn that calibration on and off to see how good that is. But so far, these are great. They look great. They're great profile. They're great size. Even though these are the 6s, there's a 5 that's even smaller. And there's the MTM as well, which are big and very loud. I didn't feel I needed them. You know, be nice to have. But I thought the 6 would be a great size for a room like this size. It's not a very big room at all. So I'm going to calibrate them now and then do my final conclusion. But so far, I'm loving them. So let's see what happens. Okay, so let me just show you what I did there. It sent some noises through like a Kemper would, but not as crazy and not too loud. I wouldn't do it don't do it late at night, but they're not crazy loud noises. Basically, this is the software. Here is speaker 1. Now look at that curve. It's not what I thought it would be. I thought I had around 120, 130 spike, but this is kind of nuts. Look at that. How can you mix on these speakers? Look at how much low end is boosted. This is basically what the room is doing to my sound. That is nuts. And now look at it after. Now it's not perfect. It's pretty flat. There's still a dip around 300 hertz. I might want to do that again, but look at that compared to the before. Isn't that crazy? Like, it's much more accurate now for monitoring and mixing. I really like that. And then here's the other speaker. You got to do them separately. I wish you could do them at the same time. But again, look at that. Before, look at all that low end. You know, people say to me, I like bright sounds. You know what happens when you have a room like this? You plug in a Kemper or an acoustic guitar and you get all that mud. Look at that mud in the low end, 50 hertz. Look at that. It's nuts. What does that do to a sound, a guitar tone? It makes it sound dull and muddy. And so what happens is, hopefully, when you then run this calibration, it's all flattening it out. So you hear what you're supposed to hear. Now, again, if a profile for Kemper has been made by someone with a room that is way too bright, they're going to compensate and make it way too dull. But if they're capturing the amp in a studio, as you hope they will, imagine this is going to be so much better compared to that. Look at that. So that's why I often do take low end out of things in this room, because there's too much low end in the room. That has now gone. So things now should sound more real. They should sound more as they're supposed to. And by the way, you can choose other things here too. You've got comfort. You've got, for example, a smartphone. Look, that's what happens on a smartphone. You have nothing below 500 hertz. So that's why you don't listen to guitar reviews on a smartphone. And then here's a TV, a 49-inch TV, nothing below 100, and those dips and things. Now, this is just a digital representation using the EQ, but it's still really cool to see that. And again, look, there's the before and the after with those applied. So for example, the precision before is doing this and after is doing that, much closer. And then with the comfort, before you had that and then you've got this. So that's showing you what the differences are. You've also got some presets you can have, a standby timer. That's also why I wanted these ones. My Focals had a standby timer. It was preset. On here, you can choose the standby time, which again, I really like. And I also read that these don't add much latency, even though they have DSP. Some software you run to correct your existing speakers will add latency. These are low. I don't know what it is. I'd love IK to tell me, but the fact they're running it in the speaker keeps that really low. So, I mean, I think this looks amazing. I'm now going to listen to them with the correction and see how it sounds. You know, I'm really impressed. I need to see how this goes over time, but it's incredible. Like, without the precision, when you turn the precision on and off here, which I did here on the ARC calibration, I just turned that off and it turned them both off. It's so full and boomy and it's not bad. Actually, when I turn on the calibration, it actually sounds a bit thin. But you know why that is? I'm so used to hearing all that low end build up in the room. It's so bad for mixing. I can't believe I've been mixing in this room. I mean, with headphones and in-ears, that's fine, because you're not hearing the room. You're just hearing the sound. And of course, all speakers, all headphones have their own signature sound. But it's no doubt to me why I've plugged in gear in this room in the past and said, oh, it sounds muddy and not clear. Yeah, because the room was adding this huge bulk of like vroom and mud. This is really cool. The sound is so different now. And I think what I need to do now is readjust to how it should sound. I might run the calibration again, try and get that as flat as possible, decide exactly where they're going to live, make it as flat as possible, and then listen to loads of music, loads of classic albums, and get used to what speakers should sound like. This is crazy. Like what I've been listening to in the room through the speakers, they've sounded great, don't get me wrong, but they haven't sounded what they should sound like. In the old days, and now, but especially in the old days, you'd mix an album, you'd master the album to sound right on all speakers, and you want to hear what they've made. Like you can listen now to the Beatles through these and hear what you were supposed to hear. I'm fine with headphones, but having the speakers is even better, I think. And it's also great. You can use those other settings to check your mixes. I imagine my mixes now will be so much better, because where I probably used to compensate for all that low-end rumble when I mostly mix with headphones, but let's say I checked them without, or one day I did a quick mix without headphones on, and took out that low-end rumble, of course it sounded thin to someone else who had a properly calibrated set of speakers. Now, of course, not everyone does have that. In an ideal world, we'd all have these speakers and they'd all be calibrated the same, and we'd all have the same sound wherever we are in the world. The world's not like that. I do appreciate that as well. But I'm pretty sure that the classic albums, the movies I watch in here are going to be so much better. I'm pretty sure I'm going to enjoy my presets more and my acoustic guitars more. Everything I hear is going to just be more flat and less boomy and rumbly. I can still go in and make changes if I need to with the presets on the speakers. I can still use presets from my Apollo Twin interface if I need to as well, of course, and make personal adjustments. But now I get to hear what stuff is supposed to sound like. I'm really, really excited. So that's my review. Stay tuned to the channel. If I ever have bad experiences with gear or change my mind, I do post updates to the channel. So do subscribe and ring the bell. I'd also appreciate it. You can also ask me in my live streams, hey, how you get on with that gear? But my first impressions of these are everything that I hope for. They've just changed the listening experience, and they look and sound great too. So yeah, they're not the most affordable monitors, but there's a lot of monitors that are even more money, and I'm really happy with them. I'll put links to them below if you want to check them out for yourself. I'm just going to listen to as much music as I can to readjust my ears. You know what? I wish someone would make these for live use. Imagine if you could go to a gig and the PA system sends a signal through your vocal mic and it figures out the room EQ and EQs the room for your sound. That would be amazing. Food for thought. Anyway, thanks for watching. Stay tuned. I'll see you in the next video. I'm going to go listen to some music. Bye-bye.
Somewhere in between.